Hello, I thank you for coming today to share your oral history of your recollections of your experiences while you were a student here at Chestnut Grove Elementary School. And this project is being funded by the Conservation Fund. So if we start out, would you please state your name and please share with me the schools you have attended?
Okay, my name is Julia Feimster, and I went to school here at Chestnut Grove Elementary School. Then after that, I went to Unity High School, and after that, I went 1 year at Livingstone College, but I didn't finish. I dropped out.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
and I
Thank you.
regretted it. I
Yeah.
really did.
Okay. And what grades did you go to school here at Chestnut Grove Elementary?
I went from the first grade to the eighth.
Okay,
So
so
I
you
went,
graduated
yeah,
from
I
here.
graduated from here. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, do you have any special memories of teachers or things that you reflect on that you can remember from the time that you were a student here?
Yes, I remember. I remember Miss Sadie Hackett Morrison. She was a good teacher. I loved her. Well, I loved all of my teachers, but sometimes I'd get in trouble. And Miss Mary Morrison, I got in trouble with her. And I'm gonna tell you a funny story about that. I was because Miss Mary Morrison, she teach different grades. And one day this girl, her name was Etta Summers, and we had a store down the road, Mr. Morrison's store, and everybody could go and buy candy and whatever they wanted. And I didn't have but one penny. And I knowed if I went to the store, I couldn't get a whole lot with my penny. And so she had a dime. And she said, I can't tie my dime in this handkerchief. Will you tie it for me? And I said, yeah. So I took my penny and I put it in her handkerchief and I took the dime. And I went to the store and I bought a bunch of stuff. And so when she got ready to go to the store, she didn't have but a penny. And she started crying. And when she went to the store, because she couldn't get nothing. So when she come back, she told Miss Morrison what I had done. And so Miss Mary Morrison said, Julia, did you do that? And I said, yes, ma'am. And she said, why'd you do it? I said, because I didn't have but one penny and I know I couldn't get a whole lot of stuff, candy and junk food. So I took her dime. And she said, well, you know, you're going to get punished for that. And I said, I am. And she said, yes. She said, you're going to write 100 times, I will not steal. And you better spell everything right. Because if you don't, you're going to have to write it again. And then you're going to go to the coat room. They always had a coat room where you would get your little paddling, but they didn't beat you real hard, you know. They let you know that you couldn't do that anymore. And so she did that. And she said, plus, I'm going to write your mama a letter and I'm going to tell her what you done and you take it home and give it to her. And I said, yes, ma'am. So when I got home and I kept the letter for when I got ready to go to bed and give it to my mama. And she said, why are you just not giving that to me? She said, I forgot. She said, no, you didn't. So she read it. She said, okay, next morning you're going to get a beating. And I got a beating for doing that. And I will not forget it because my uncle was up there, my Uncle Ivory, and she beat me in front of him. And that was
Oh,
so bad. But I
oh,
had a lot of teachers. I always, liked all of them, but they would make sure that you got your education. You had to get your lesson out and do everything. And then I remember that we used to have May Day, and everybody loved May Day. Because May Day, you just come to school, you had devotion, and we decorated outside, and they had a pole that they greased it, and the boys try to climb up the pole, and that was fun. And we had a basketball team. And I used to play on the basketball team too, but we had to play on dirt. But that was fun. And they would always have like the guys from the high school to come out and do the refereeing. And we had two guys. One of them name was Bobby Whitt, and the other name was he was a Jackson. Uh, I forgot his name, but I know he was a Phil Jackson. That was his name. And they were so good looking. Everybody loves when them two guys would come out because everybody would just stare at them. We just wasn't thinking about playing no ball because we were thinking about how good looking them guys look. And I remember that boy really good. But we used to have fun at Chestnut Grove. I really had fun. And I remember too, like we had to pick cotton, and we had a lot of cotton. And when it would rain, we would pray that it would rain. But if the sun come out, your parents would tell you if the sun come out, we're gonna come get you. And we would always had to leave school because we got behind because we had to stay out of school a lot. and we would always pray that sun wouldn't come out. But whenever we seen that sun coming out, and in about a half an hour, here come mom and daddy to pick you up. I remember that. And then I remember too, like whenever we would be picking cotton, like on the road when you go by my cousin's house, the house is right on the road for Sandra Feimster live. Well, my uncle and aunt used to live right there, Ivory and Emma Feimster. So we had cotton out in that field, and we would always ask mom and daddy what time is it, and they say, why you want to know what time it is? Because we know the bus was going to come by. And so when they would tell us what time, we'd heard a bus coming, and we would always lay down in the field so they couldn't see us, because we would be embarrassed, because a lot of them that rode the bus, they didn't have cotton. And they would always holler and tell us, get up from there. We know y'all out there picking that cotton, so get up and start picking that cotton. And then after mom and daddy say, just get up and start picking. They know you out here. Then we would say, well, we don't care. We didn't want them to see us. And so after the bus go by, we would always get up and start back picking cotton. I remember them days good. Them was the good old days.
So, wow, those are some really great memories. Okay, so can you tell me about a typical day at the Rosenwald School, Chestnut Grove Elementary? When you came, did you come on a bus? Did you walk? Or what? How was your full day?
Oh yeah, we always had to be at the road at a certain time, cause the bus. We lived back off the road, and we had to run. We had to walk to the road, and when the bus, we would hear the bus coming, and we would have to run. And sometimes we'd be running and drop our books, but the bus would always wait on us whenever we would, 'cause my mom and daddy would always say, "It's time for y'all to leave. Get out of here." And when it rained too, we still had to put our raincoats on and walk to catch the bus. And we'd be the last person getting on the bus. And when school was out, we'd be the first one to get off. And we didn't want to be the first one to get off, because we would always be glad. We thought we were gonna have to ride a long ways, but we didn't. We would say, "Boy, we wish we could be on the bus so we could ride a long ways," but we didn't. We just got to ride a short ways, and that was good too. That was a good time.
So then, once you got to school, did you start with pledges, or what was the day
Oh
like?
yeah, whenever we got to school, they always had devotion. We always had devotion. We always had to do that. We did that, and then we would start off like having a lesson and all that, and that was good times. But you always had to make sure you got your lesson out, because if you didn't, sometimes you had to write, while on the board. The next time I would get my lesson out, and the teacher would make you write not like 5 times, but they make you write 100 times, and you had to count. You had to put it on your paper how many times they make you to write it, and that was from like 1 to 100, and that was a long. You had to write that a long time, and that was bad. Whenever you wouldn't get your lesson out, but I always liked all of my teachers. I always liked, especially her name was Miss Sadie Hackett Morrison. She was a she was a real pretty teacher, and everybody loved her. And I remember Miss Mary Morrison. Boy, everybody was scared of her. Oh boy, you didn't talk back, and you better get to class on time. Cause if you didn't, you would be in trouble. And she and the boys, she didn't care how big or tall they were or anything. She would catch them in the collar and say, "Look, I wish you would hit me. You better get that lesson out and sit down at that desk and get your lesson out and not move." And so, but you didn't, you know not to cross Miss Mary Morrison, because she was something else. But she was a good teacher. Yeah,
Mm.
all of them was good teachers. The principals, they were good too. I remember uh, his name Mr. Marsh. He was the principal here. I remember him. And then I remember Miss. Oh yeah, I know a good teacher. Her name was Miss Miller, Geneva Miller. She used to teach first grade. She was a good teacher. And then her husband, he was the principal. His name was Mr. Miller. Cause both of them used to ride together. Cause both of them taught school, and they lived in Mooresville. And they had a son named Georgia Mason Miller, and he was real smart too. Yeah, everybody would always go to him and want him to help us with our lessons. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So at the time that you went to school here, how were the bathrooms? Were they indoor, outdoor? What were they like?
Oh God, they was outdoors. Yeah, I remember they was outdoors. I do remember they was outdoors. Yes, I remember they was outdoors because they were cross over here on this side. We had to go to the bathrooms outside. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
boys had a seemed like they had a bathroom and the girls had a bathroom too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how was lunch? Did they have lunch here for you? You brought lunch? How did
Oh, a
that
lot of
go?
time we'd have to bring lunch because we didn't have money to buy lunch. But Miss Pfeiffer, Dorothy Pfeiffer's grandmother, she cooked. And Lord have mercy, you talk about a lady could cook. Everybody loved her food. Everybody loved her food. And we would always ask mom and daddy sometime, do we have money to eat in the lunchroom so we could eat in the lunchroom? And they would let us eat. And then sometime she would always want people to help in the lunchroom too. And I always would volunteer. I want to help because you could get free lunch. But you had to go to the health department and get a shot because they wouldn't let you work in the cafeteria if you didn't go get a shot. So you had to make sure you wasn't anything wrong with you. But she could really cook. She could really cook some food. I'll never will forget that.
Mhm.
Miss Pfeiffer. That was Dorothy Pfeiffer's grandmother. Yeah.
Alrighty. So before we end your interview, is there anything else that you remember about your experience that you would like to share with us today?
Well, let's see. I can't remember anything right now. I
Alrighty.
can't remember anything.
Well, we really appreciate you taking the time today. You really shared some really valuable experiences, and we thank you so very much. And thank you for your time today.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Thank you.